Hi there. My name is David Allinson, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Birding with David. I'm producing these videos because I'm passionate about birding, and I love birds and nature, and I care about helping novice, beginner, and intermediate birders improve their birdwatching skill sets. In fact, for more than 25 years, I've listened to, addressed, and answered the common questions, frustrations, and concerns by beginning birders, and these videos will specifically answer those concerns. However, I'm also going to reveal the secret habits of top expert birders so that you too can improve and exponentially grow your own birding skills. How does that sound? But first, I thought I'd give you a bit about my own background. This video will be a little longer than some of the other ones, but I think it's important to illustrate with this story. Now, my own story began with childhood, of course, with my parents instilling in me a love for nature and the outdoors, whether we were camping, fishing, or walking the dog. And I remember leafing through my mother's dog-eared golden guide to the birds of North America when we were checking out and trying to identify the birds at our feeders. However, it wasn't until my final year of university, and I was browsing at the University of Toronto's bookstore in the science section, and luck would have it, I came across a 3-volume guide called the Audubon Master Guide to Birding. Unfortunately, it's out of print now, but the great thing about these books is not so much the photographs and the illustrations and the information about the birds themselves, but it's the introductory chapters to how to bird and what's involved with birding in the 21st century. Now, it was kind of ahead of its time, in my opinion, and some of the best written articles on that. So I bought those books. I was hooked. I remember closing one of the books, and I said to myself, I can do this. I want to do this. So the next part was, where do I go birding? What do I do? So I did a little bit of research. This was long before the internet, of course, but back in 1989. And I found at the local library, I think it was a brochure, of a relatively obscure park called Tiny Marsh Provincial Wildlife Area, about an hour and a half north of Toronto. So I borrowed my mom's car on a Sunday morning, early spring. It was April 1989, so I've been birding for more than 27 years now. And it was during that walk that, so to speak, the birding gods struck me with lightning. Because as I was walking around the park with my 3-volume set with a shoulder bag, I had my father's circa 1960 Carl Zeiss binoculars. They weighed about 7 pounds, but they were actually really good binoculars, but they were quite heavy. And as I walked through there, I was seeing, relatively common birds that I knew, like red-winged blackbirds and Canada geese and things like that. But as I came around one of those trails, there was a slough and a dike trail, and there was a channel of water, and up popped 2 diving ducks. And I knew there were ducks, I knew that much, but I had not seen the likes of anything like these birds. The male in particular was striking to me. And I remember pulling out the field guide and leafing through the photos and the plates and trying to desperately find this bird. And literally within a moment or two doing that, off the page popped the bird that was 25 feet in front of me. And it was a male hooded merganser. And to this day, I have a soft spot for hooded mergansers. But it's not so much that what the bird was, but that I myself was able to identify it. And I think that's one of the biggest things and one of the biggest takeaways in any of my future videos for beginning birders, intermediate birders, is to build that confidence that you can do it. You don't always need to have someone else to help you. Yes, there are times when they're difficult to identify birds, but when you're building your skill set, building your list, building your common bird knowledge, because that's key, you really need to have that moment of confidence, competency, when you do that. So I can certainly empathize. I remember that day quite well, but more than 27 years ago. So come with me in the next coming weeks as I explore each of those common questions I mentioned earlier. Please put your own feedback of what you'd like to see in these videos, but follow me in the journey in the next little while, and thanks again for joining me with Birding with David.